Hello, nice that you're watching my video. I made a castle out of XPS foam that can be used for 28mm tabletop wargaming, and I made a couple of videos on how I did this. This one's about painting techniques. Let's start with the basic paint layers. First I create a base coat. I do this by mixing Mod Podge Matte with black acrylics, and I paint 3 layers of this. Once the basic layer is dried, I create a pre-shade layer by spraying white and light gray over the black. The black is now the shade and the white and light gray are the highlight colors. After this I add some color. I just spray it here and there and lightly. In this case some blues and reds. And I also post shade using black and gray. Here are some more examples of the same process. And here's a piece of video where you see me actually applying the, in this case, pre-shade or what you want to call it, highlight layer with those light gray colors over the black. The basic paint is airbrushed and now it's time to apply some streaks. I used the same paint and the same colors as I used in the airbrush, except that I'm diluting it a bit with water now. I look for logical places for streaks to be, and that is where water has been running down for a while, like for instance the bottom of a window. Here I'm using acrylics for streaking, obviously. You can also use oils. I also do that sometimes. If you do want to use oils and make your own oil washes, then make sure you use a non-aggressive solvent for it. You can buy those at a lot of hobby shops, or you can also buy even pre-made washes. And here you can see that these paints that I use are the same that I used in the airbrush before. A light blue and a camouflage brownish color. And I usually also mix in some black. What I'm doing here is I'm painting a streak all the way from the gargoyle down to the bottom of this part of the tower. And I got this idea because the tower was standing on my desk and I have a spotlight above it, and it casted a shadow right away from the gargoyle down. And it looked so cool that I decided to paint it as a streak. It looked like a streak when I saw the shadow for the first time, so it means I have to paint over part of my older streaks that I previously made, but in my opinion, if you have a new cool idea and it's going to make your model better and you have to sacrifice previous work for this, you should always do it. You can see that I'm adding paint but also removing paint sometimes. It's really a subtle work, this streaking. And after all the streaking is done, we're going to dry brush the model. Dry brushing means that you apply a little amount of a lighter color. Most commonly used color for this is white. Onto a brush, and you take off most of it off the brush, and without any water, that's why it's called dry brushing. You rapidly go over the model so that this paint is applied to the higher laying parts of the model. And in this way, these parts are highlighted. So that's what you see me doing here. Be careful not to overdo the dry brushing. If you do it too much, then everything becomes light and you lose the contrast with the dark colors. My suggestion would be like to dry brush a little bit and then put away the model, take a bit of distance from it and have a look at it. And then decide if you want to do more or not. On the other hand, I did go a bit too far with the dry brushing myself on this particular one, and I just resprayed it with some blacks to get contrast back again. So that's of course also possible. It's all a big experiment all the way, all the time for me. So I think that's a fun and nice way of working. But yeah. Here I'm technically not dry brushing anymore, but I'm more like making some stains in the stones with white. This part of the tower is done now, and here I'm putting the parts on my desk that go below this one, so I can put it on top and check out the whole as it is now. And next up, I want to show you how I painted moss on the castle. And this must be the most, yeah, pun intended, simple part of this video. But there's a lot of moss on the castle, and some of it is actually flocking that I pasted onto it. But a lot is just like you see here in the video, painted on moss with a brush. And it's a bit like for people who build vehicles, it's like chipping vehicles, but then chipping a castle with natural materials. I'm using a yellowish color scheme here, and sometimes I add some blue or I add a little bit of red or white to get some variation in the yellows. But you can do any color you want, and it doesn't have to be moss only. It can also be like a reddish fungus or whatever grows on these walls. And just go ahead and have fun, but look every once in a while like where you put it and if you don't do too much. But I think it's a simple technique, but has a really good effect. So that's why I wanted to share with you guys anyway. Here I have some more examples of painted moss on the castle. The last one is a combination of flocking and paint actually. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I've uploaded more videos on working on this project, so if you like it, check them out. Bye bye.